Welcome everyone to the Virginia Bushcrafter, the channel where we continue to learn and practice the skills of bushcrafting, prepping and survival for the wilderness. So guys, as you know, with many other things, there's always a time limit. There's always a destination. There's always an end game. But when it comes to bushcrafting, there's no destination. It is a journey, a never-ending journey. Skills on top of skills on top of skills. However, just take some of those skills, come out into the bush, and enjoy it. But today, I'm going to be speaking on a topic that I don't think it gets as much attention as it should. And that skill is knot tying. Now, a month or so, maybe 2 months ago, I did a video in theory on knots, naming several different knots. But as you know, what I like to do is discuss it in theory and then show it to you in real time. So today I am going to be demonstrating maybe 12, 13 different knots that I have used. So let's get started with that journey. All right, guys. Well, these knots that I am going to demonstrate, I think the first thing we should do is go over the anatomy of the paracord, the rope, the string, or whatever you have. So let's start off with the rope, the string, the paracord, the vine, the root. All of them will start off with a working end. This is the end that basically does all of the connections, all of the tying. And then we have the standing end. Now, depending on where you are from, which region you are from, this could be called a back end. But here, I've learned this is the standing end, or you may hear me refer to sometimes the back end. But we have a working end, standing end, and we have what's known as a bite. This is a bite. Just by twisting, we have a bite. And then we have underhand loop, and it can also be an overhand loop. Overhand loop. Okay. So again, working in, standing in, a bite, underhand loop, as well as an overhand loop. Okay, so let's get started. So guys, as you may notice, the first thing that I always do when I come into the bush is I hang my rucksack. So this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to start off doing a loop knot. All right, so let's get started. All right, guys, the first thing I do, I put the working end in a downward position, and I just make a loop. I'll show you that again. Take this, fold it over and inside the loop. A loop knot. Okay, so I'll show this to you again. Rather than you having to stop the video each time. And again, practice makes perfect. Okay, so again, start in this formation. Pinch, twist, inside of the loop, loop knot. Okay, now, what are we going to do with this? Well, let's put you in focus. I'm going to just take this, wrap it around the tree. Wrap it around the tree and take the standing end and put inside the loop. And I'm going to take a toggle which I have. So again, we're going to take the end with the loop around the tree, the standing end through the loop. We're going to insert the toggle inside the loop. And now we have something that is very durable. That is, the paracord or the rope creates friction around the trunk of the tree. And there you have it. Okay? So, that's one loop. And again, around the tree, through the loop, the standing in through the loop, toggle inside the loop, and there you have it. That's the first one. Okay, now since we have the loop knot secured, and it's always going to need pressure to stay secured, we now need something to hang the hand grip of the rucksack. So what do, we take the standing end and we make a loop. As you can see, here's the loop. We lay the loop over the standing end, we pull it through, and we take a piece of Mother Nature and go through the bite. And now we have a Marline spike hitch. This is the Marline spike hitch. All right? So, as I did mention, the loop knot has to have pressure on it, because as you just saw, once you remove it, it drops, and that's very good when you are packing up. So let's do that again. Loop knot into the loop. We put our toggle into this loop, and we tighten it. To hang the rucksack, we then we make a Marline hitch by making a loop here, a loop that lays over the standing end. You pull the standing end. It's kind of difficult to do this on camera with one hand, but nevertheless, muscle memory. So, This is secured. We have a loop. Loop goes over the standing in, and I know this is difficult to see, but once you have the standing in, you take the part of a toggle, pull it. There is your Marline spike hitch. All right, I'm going to show you how I hang the rucksack. All right, with the loop knot, the Marline spike hitch, take the grab handle of your rucksack against the tree. This is maybe at the most 35 or 40 pounds that I have today. And there you have it. Nice and secured. So let's take a look at a different way with different knots to do the exact same thing. All right, guys, the next knot that I'm going to demonstrate that you can use to hang your rucksack, pull heavy logs, tie logs together is the timber hitch knot. So we start off with our working end. We go around the tree and we take the standing end, we make an underhand loop, underhand loop, underhand loop, and we just go around the standing end 7 times. I use 7. That's 3, that's 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I dress them up. Now the important thing about the timber hitch is to make sure that it is against the bark. Okay, as you see, as there's pressure put on it, it tightens. And to even secure it more, you can just put a stop knot at the end just to secure it. And that's not going anywhere. Now, how do we hang the rucksack? Well, I'm going to show you. This is something using what's called a Prusik knot. I'm taking a piece of number 36 bank line, and I'm going to demonstrate this again. I've just used a overhand knot to tie these together. Here's a loop. Just going to take the loop, go over the standing end once, again twice, and a third time. And then I'm going to dress it up. And it should look more or less like a fist. As you can see, it can slide up or down, but when you put pressure on it, it doesn't move. So the next thing that I will do is to show you how I use this loop. Okay, so with the timber hitch knot and the Prusik knot, what I do is take a piece of Mother Nature, and again, this Prusik knot will slide with no pressure up and down. It will slide up and down. But when you put pressure on it, it doesn't move. So what I do, I take a piece of Mother Nature, I put it through the loop, as you can see, it doesn't come down. Again, it doesn't move. So what I'm going to do is take my rucksack, slide one of the shoulder straps through one end, and the other one through the other end. And that is to keep it off the ground. And then I tighten it. Both sides. Make sure that it's even. And this is one way, again, of keeping your rucksack off the ground. Okay, so I'll show you what I use this branch for. All right, guys. Now, from using a trucker's hitch knot, Prusik knot that I demonstrated, I also use a loop knot, I use a Marline spike hitch. These are just 4 knots that you can use to hang your rucksack, especially if you're going to be here for a day or longer, because you don't want your items on the ground. So as you can see, I have the rucksack here, I have food here, I have clothes that I have removed, fire kit, first aid kit readily available, just materials that I may use, cordage just from taking things loose. So guys, again, it's important. People may not speak of it very much, but it's very important to be able to use as many knots as you can. So with that said, again, loop knot, timber hitch knot, Prusik knot, Marline spike hitch knot, we're going to move on to a few other knots. All right, guys, again, so knots are very important. I'm going to show you now how two different ways to make a bowline knot, which is basically used as an anchor knot. So let me get set up, and I'm going to demonstrate two ways of tying the bowline knot. Okay, I am going to, demonstrate the bowline. I'm going to do it two different ways. The most common way is, again, the working end, the standing end. We're going to make a bite. Get organized here. We're going to make a bite on the standing end. We're going to bring the working end through the bite, around the standing end, and back through the bite. And pull. And you now have the bowline. Again, this is a great anchor knot. So, let's just remove this and do it one more time. Commit these to muscle memory, because when it's cold out here, you want to know these things. Again, the working end, the standing end. A bite in the working end, the standing end. The working end comes through the bite, around the working end, and through the bite again. Nope, that did not go right, but here again, let's do it again. The working end, through the bite, comes through the bite, around the working end, and back through the bite. And it did not work again. So again, you have the bite, the working end, it comes through the bite, around the working end, and through the bite again. And this time it worked. Again, muscle memory. So let me show you an easier way, which is keep it simple. Okay, so working end, standing end. Create a bite. Create a bite. Lay the bite on the standing end. Pull it through. Take the working end through the bite, pinch it, and pull the working end. That's your bowline knot. All right, so now, great anchor. So the next one we're going to use is a trucker's hitch. So all right, guys, a very, very popular knot that I use every time I come out is the trucker's hitch knot. So let me show you that, and we'll talk about this one. So on the other end, I do have a bowline knot, which I could have used a trucker's hitch knot. I could have used a loop knot. We just have so many choices. So let me put you in focus. Let's see. So I'm going to take the end of this paracord, I'm going to wrap it around this tree. That has my rucksack and everything. Okay, as you can see, a good thing about having the bowline on the other end, I can adjust this on both ends, as I'm going to do, because it has gone down somewhat. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with the trucker's hitch is make a loop by just taking the palm of our hand, putting it on the standing end, and again, just make a bite. We've made a bite. We reach into the bite and we pull the working in. And we make a loop. Okay? It's very easy to take loose, just pull it. So again, palm of our hand facing out, make a bite, take your thumb and forefinger, pinch the standing end, pull it forward away from the anchor end, and then take the working end through the loop once. You can do it once, but I always do it twice, and just pull. Get everything out of the way here, and just pull. So I'm going to do that again. Again, this is the trucker's hitch. So again, palm facing away from us, make a bite. Have a bite, pinch the standing end, go forward away from the tree, you have a loop. Take the working end, go through the loop. Some people do it once, I do it twice. And keep you in focus here. And just pull away from you. That is your ridge line, tight as a guitar string. And I take the remainder of the cordage and just hank it up. So that it's not in the way, there's no tripping or anything like that. Nice and tight. And there you have it. If it falls, it just falls. But you want to keep the extra hank line, especially at night, away because you don't want to trip. Okay, that is the trucker's hitch knot. As you can see, tight as a guitar. On this end, we have the bowline. Again, good for adjustment and so forth. So the next thing I'm going to demonstrate is a Prusik knot again. All right, guys, I've explained the Prusik knot and I demonstrated it while I was hanging up my rucksack. But here is another use for the Prusik knot when putting up your shelter. Now this is going to be used on a lean-to. So basically I take a piece of bank line, number 36 or number 18. This is number 18. And the reason why I chose a smaller diameter cordage to make this Prusik knot is because the 550 paracord is a larger diameter and a smaller diameter works better. So let me show you exactly how this is done, and I'll show you the function of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have a loop. I put it on the back of the ridge line and I just fold it. Let's see, let me see. And I fold it inside and just pull it. I repeat that again and just pull it. And then I do it a third time and just pull them tight, put them together, dress them up. And this is the Prusik knot. Again, this is number 18 bank line, and as you can see, goes both directions, but when you put tension on it, it doesn't move. So that is the Prusik knot. Now, what this is going to be used mainly for is putting up a shelter. You just take the end of the Prusik knot, put it through a grommet, take some of Mother Nature, put it through the loop, and pull, and tighten that up. And I'll show you on the other end, the same thing. As you can see, I have a Prusik knot that's already prepared. It goes through the grommet. And this is a poncho, by the way, that I'm using. A toggle through the loop and pull tight. Let's try that again. And the toggle is in the loop. And just pull tight. So here is Prusik knot. Loosens it, tightens. On this end, the same thing, as you can see. Loosens and it tightens. All right, guys, so these are some of the knots. I have more to show. So again, we've gone over the loop knot, timber hitch knot, Marline spike hitch knot, Prusik knot, Bowline knot, trucker's hitch knot, and there are more to come. Stay around. Hey, once again, we speak about the importance of knots. A great skill to learn and to utilize when you are in the bush. So I want to show you some more advantages of the timber hitch knot and the Marline spike, Marline spike knot. Yeah, Marline knot, spike hitch knot. So whatever it is, but I want to show you how you can use these knots and paracord for leverage. So I have just located, where is it? A nice piece of wood, a nice log that that can be used in the colder season. Now this is going to make a great piece of firewood. This is a great piece of firewood on a cold night. So I'm going to use a timber hitch and a Marline spike hitch to take it closer to my camp. Well, it's at my camp already, but let me put you in focus. Okay, so we went over the timber hitch knot. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to lift this up. Sure, I could carry this if necessary, but why? So, again, you're working in, loop under the standing in, and I'm going to use 7 loops. Let's see, make it a little longer, loop under, and I'm going to make 7 loops around this timber, around this log. You can use 7, you can use more or less. Some kind of way I just stuck with 7. This is new paracord. It's not one to stay, but it will stay, because remember, it is a friction knot. So, okay, so as you can see here, close up, that is the timber hitch knot. Now guys, what I'm going to do now to make it even easier is to use a Marline spike hitch. Marline spike. I have a toggle with me. Again, the working end. Make a bite. Here is the bite. Here is the bite. Lay it over the standing in. Some of Mother Nature, a toggle in here. And let's move this log relatively easy. There you go. Marline spike hitch, timber hitch knot. Now that wasn't a long distance, but for demonstration purposes. That's a lot better than lifting it up, putting it on your shoulder, walking, possibly stepping in a hole, twisting your ankle. So again, timber hitch knot and the Marline knot. Okay, so let's look at some more knots. All right, guys, as I mentioned before, there are many knots to learn. Now, will I use every last knot every single time I'm in the bush? No, but what it does give me is options. So right now, I'm going to go over 3 knots. One knot is a square knot. One knot is a clove hitch knot. Another knot is a constriction knot. And the third knot will be a lashing knot. So let's go with the clove hitch first. A very simple knot that works very well because of friction. So let me bring you down. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is take the working end, put it underneath the log, take it across the log, bring it back across the log, and make an X. As you can see, here's an X. I'm going to take the working end again, bring it underneath the log, and directly underneath the X. Pull, and we have a knot that will hold, that will not come loose. You could always add security by putting a stop knot here. So let me do that again. This is the clove hitch knot, a very popular knot. Working in under the log, around, make an X. You have an X. The working in under the X. And pull the working in, put them together, and then pull the standing end. That is the clove hitch knot. Now, let's do the constriction knot. Almost just like the clove hitch. So, again, we make an X. Okay, you see, let's do this. We're going to make the X. There's the X. Bring this one, instead of going underneath the X, go under the first loop with the working end and pull. That is the constriction knot. So let's do that again. Working in under the log, around the log, make an X, bring the X across the very last loop or the top loop, and you have your constriction knot. That does not come loose. As you see, I pull, it gets tighter. Now, what are the benefits of this? This is a knot that is needed when you want to make a lashing. A lashing knot is used when you are going to build a bed or a shelter or something of that nature. So I'm going to give a quick demonstration of the lashing knot. And I hope you guys are able to see this. Okay, so we start off with a clove hitch. There's the X. I'm going to come underneath the X. And tighten it down. Okay? It's not going anywhere. But it did. So, let's do that again. Shows what happened when you rush. An X. Have an X. Well, I don't know if you can see this. Let's do it this way. Okay, so we have an X. We have an X. We go underneath the X. And we tighten. And again, you can always add a stop knot. And that was not correct. Okay, so we have the X underneath, working in underneath the X. Oh, I see what the problem is. But anyway, that's the X there. Okay, guys, so one thing you want to be careful of are these knots here. So, there is a solution. Okay. There's the X. Okay, and now we just tighten it. Okay. So we have our X, and now it's just a matter of under and over. Under and over. And we're going to do it again. Under and over. Under and over. Now, if I had a longer piece of paracord, I would do this 4 times, but because of the shortage of the paracord and demonstration purposes, I just want to show this to you. Now, what I'm going to do is take my toggle, make a Marline spike hitch, and tighten it. Okay. Now I'm going to take this off the Marline spike hitch. Just pull the loop, comes loose. Now what I'm going to do is go under and start doing the wrapping. The lashing. And I'm going to do this one 4 times. I'm going to take make another Marline spike hitch. Barely have enough paracord to do this. Okay, and pull. Use the leverage. Okay. That is very tight. Remove the toggle. Remove the Marline spike hitch. And let's just make you can make any type of knot here, but because of cordage, I don't have much. I'm just going to make an overhand knot. And there is a lashing knot. All right, so let's talk about these knots. Okay. These knots were for demonstration purposes. I have used every single one of these knots before. Maybe 3 years ago, I actually made a hammock or a suspended bed using this method, because when you have this in all 4 corners and have this lashing, by laying on this pushes this down. This is not going to move. So in making this bed or this hammock maybe 3 years ago, go check out my playlist or go check out the remainder of my videos. You will see where I actually made a hammock, or if you want to call it a suspended bed, and stayed in it all night. So here are 3 knots. Again, the clove hitch, the constriction knot, and a lashing knot. All right, so let's move on to more knots. All right, guys, it is time for the wrap and frap knot. Now, this knot is basically used for tripods or bipods. Tripods that you use for cooking, or if you're building your shelter, and the bipod for building your shelter as well. So, again, as always, start off with the working in. And the next one is going to be a clove hitch. Let me put you in focus. Okay, so Again, the Clove hitch. We make an X. And we go up under the X. And that's tight, right? Really tight. So tight it came loose. So again, X. You really have to keep these separated. And precision here under the bottom loop. There we go. And we have our Clove hitch. And now we do just what it's called, wrap. Just going to take this and start wrapping. Well, I'm going to put it on this side because you always want to leave at least a foot up here. But for demonstration purposes and a shortage of paracord, I'm going to do 2 wraps. Two wraps, and then I'm going to start doing the fraps. Going in between each log. Do this one 3 times. Then I'll go to the other side. 3 times. Wrap. And again, these are knots that I have used myself. So there we have it. And you can tie it off any kind of way you want. And there you have it, wrap and frap. All right, let's see how this works. There you have it, the wraps and fraps. All right, guys, there you have it, a tripod put together with the wrap and frap method. This can be used to actually cook. As you can have a fire here and have your billy pot hanging. This can be used even to make a chair by having another log go across here attached with the lashing method. And this is also used as the frame of a shelter. Wrap and frap method. All right, guys, are we finished? No, we are not. The next knot that I want to demonstrate is a very common knot known as the Taut-Line hitch knot. Let me show you that knot. Let me demonstrate that knot, and we'll also talk about it. But that is, again, the wrap and frap method. All right, guys, there you have it, a tripod put together with the wrap and frap method. This can be used to actually cook. As you can have a fire here and have your billy pot hanging. This can be used even to make a chair by having another log go across here attached with the lashing method. And this is also used as the frame of a shelter. Wrap and frap method. All right, guys. Are we finished? No, we are not. The next knot that I want to demonstrate is a very common knot known as the Taut-Line hitch knot. Let me show you that knot. Let me demonstrate that knot, and we'll also talk about it. But that is, again, the wrap and frap method. All right, guys. Another knot that I use very frequently when I'm building my shelters with the tarp, and this is a Taut-Line hitch, and it's basically used to guide out tents, tarps, and so forth. It provides tension and releases tension on your shelter. So let me give you a quick demonstration. So here I already have a Bowline knot. I'm using this for an anchor. So let's get ready to do a Taut-Line hitch. Okay, so again, this is all about tension. Now, again, I have a Bowline knot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the working end. I'm going to go over the standing end 3 times. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to take the working end and go back in the loop over the standing end, up through the loop, pull it, dress it up. There you have a Taut-Line hitch. If you want to loosen it, you want to tighten it. Taut-Line hitch. I'm going to do that again. Okay, so we have our anchor, the Bowline. We have our working end going over the standing end. So that's 1, 2, that's 2 and 3. And we take the working end, go up under the loop, and back through this loop, pull it, dress it up. There you have it. The tension to release tension. All right. And again, one of the advantages of the Bowline, I can adjust. If I want to put this one higher, and Taut-Line hitch. All right, guys, and there's still more knots to go. There's the sheep bends, which I have not used before, but I'll give a demonstration of the something called a square knot, and also the Arbor knot, which is the king of all knots. All right, guys, let's get ready for the Arbor knot. Here again, Bowline, Taut-Line hitch. Hey guys, I think what I want to do is show you the square knot before I go on to the Arbor knot. The square knot is basically, let's say for example, you have a few pieces of paracord, but they're all too short, and you want to join them together. This has happened many times, but basically the square knot is taking 2 pieces of paracord, string, rope, or whatever. Very, very simple. Just put them across each other. Put the right over the left. The right over the left and under. Okay, right over left and under And you're going to do the same thing. Left over right. Left over the right. And you have your square knot. Just that easy. I'll do that again. And then I'm going to give you an example of where I have used a square knot many times to save paracord. Again, 2 working ends, right over left or left over right, right over left, and under, same thing, left over right and under. It's not coming loose, guys. Square knot. So I'm going to show you something now where I use a square knot to join many pieces. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put this back together. Left over right. I mean right over left, and right and left over right. Right, that stays that way. But let me show you an example of a lot of square knots used. If you look at the back of this tarp, and you see that I have this anchored to a tree, numerous square knots. So again, guys, save your paracord. Just use square knots. So guys, that's an example of a square knot. So let's move on to the arbor knot, known as the Canadian gem knot as well. All right, guys. Now, I'm going to do a demonstration of the arbor knot, and this is one knot I have not used. I have practiced it, but I have not used it. But it is good if you're making your shelter, a bed. It basically compresses 2 pieces of wood together. So I'm going to start off with a piece of paracord, working in, cross, put you in focus. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of wood. I go under both pieces. I'm going to make a I'm going to make a bite. Here's a bite. I'm going to take this working end through it to start making a knot. I'm going to take the top of this bite, make another bite, take this working end, go through and ratchet it down. And it is advisable to put a stop knot at the very end. Again, this is a knot that I have not used, but I will be using it in the future. A stop knot, and again, ratchet down, And I'm going to make a stop knot on this end, or a clove hitch, or any knot. So this is the arbor knot. Okay guys, that does it for the knots. Again, I think knots are so important. It's another skill in and of itself. Again, we went over the bowline knot, timber hitch knot, loop knot, trucker's hitch knot, Prusik knot, clove hitch knot, constriction knot, square knot, lashing method, wrap and frap, arbor knot. Let's see, what else did we go over? But those are just knots to, I think all bushcrafters should explore those knots, find out what really works for you, and go from there. All right, guys, it's time for some food. And I am going to make a small fire. Always practice your firecraft whenever you get the opportunity to do so. All right, guys, I'll be back with you. A very quick upside down fire. All right, guys, what I am going to do now is practice the firecraft skills. Steel and flint, char cloth here. So I'm going to put the char cloth in the Altoid can, strike downward, get an ember, put it onto the tinder bundle, get some flames going, and throw the tinder on. All right, we put you in focus. I'm getting dust in here already. too far away. There is the ember. Enter cedar bark. Where there is smoke, there is fire. There we go. Kindling and more kindling. And of course, as you know, the ground is wet, but something that just goes along with the territory. Get some of this dry wood going. Okay, I think we're in good shape. So that's the fire that's going there. But again, today we just focused on knots. Again, it was loop knots, timber hitch knot, trucker's hitch knot, Prusik knot, square knot, clove hitch knot, constriction knot, quite a few other knots. Well, let's see, I think lashing knot, wrap and frap knot, Taut-Line hitch, the Arbor knot, which again, I've never used the Arbor knot, but let me move this back. Marline spike hitch, the Bowline, and I did not do the sheep bend, but it's more or less like the constriction, except it just has two different diameters of rope or paracord. So, but that was our lesson for today. And I'm going to be making some more char cloth. Yeah, I'm going to be making some more char cloth. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, guys, I'm going to be making some more char cloth today. Again, just some old cotton, some an old t-shirt, put into the outdoor can, and some denim jeans. With the hole at the top to let the gas escape. So, in it goes. Just gonna put it right there on the side and it will catch. Yeah, guys, this is you know, learning all these knots. I think that was maybe like 13, 10, 12, 13, maybe 14 knots. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of people say you don't need to know all those knots. Well, don't let them tell you what you need, okay? It's always good to have it, and when you need it, you're going to have it. So just practice these different knots. Like I said, all those knots I've done before. I even still made some mistakes because I don't do them all the time. But I know I can always call back on the memory bank and make those knots. Now you're going to see a lot of apparatuses that you can purchase in stores to assist you with knots. I don't know what they're called, but I look at those as just another item that I can possibly lose. But once you learn it up here, you're not going to lose it. You may forget every now and then, but you know, it's like swimming and riding a bike. Once you learn, you know it for life. So yeah, guys, get out there, practice those knots. I mean, there's so many, again, so many bushcraft skills that it's not like, for an example, a baseball game has what? Bottom of the ninth ending, unless there's overtime. Football, basketball, 4 quarters. There's a time limit. With bushcrafting, it is endless. You can learn forever. There's always something to learn. So, but guys, so I just wanted to say that talk about that. Again, important skills, your first aid, being able to communicate, your telephone, in reach, is something of that nature. Your shelter, which behind me is a poncho that I use just to demonstrate some knots. So you have something to sleep under, you got something to sleep in, something to sleep on, a bedroll, water, plenty of water. Fire, water, food, navigation. Practice these skills all the time, you know. I know I came in at, let's see, I came in at South 207, and I'm going to be leaving at North 207. Basically, just subtract 180 from 207. That gives you your direction back. All right, guys, so I'm going to monitor this fire, get something to eat, and that's going to be my practice session for today. I'll see you shortly. Well, there is water boiling in that skillet for my teriyaki rice that I'm going to have. I'm also making char cloth, and I'm just relaxing. Again, I was focusing on knots today. So now it's time to enjoy a meal. Yeah, I think the char cloth may be ready, but I want the water to start boiling. So I'll be back with you for evening dinner. Well, as you can see, the meal is off the fire. It was just the perfect amount of wood, and that is another skill, learning how much wood will you actually need to prepare a meal. Because we want to be resourceful, we don't want to waste, even though it's dead wood, we don't want to waste it. So that was the right amount of wood. The char cloth is cooling off, and the meal is in front of me. Of course, I am having the Gatorade to keep the electrolytes in you. Cheers. And just the teriyaki rice. Sufficient until I decide to eat later on this evening. Nice, hot, well warm. I let it cool off. But actually this utensil is for where they serve you your meals in the military. This goes on one side, but I cooked out of it today. I have cooked out of it before. Not as warm as I thought. But guys, again, bushcrafting, it's small steps one after the other. Just so much to learn with bushcrafting, but it's so enjoyable. Again, I did all the knots I demonstrated today. I've done them before, with the exception of the Arbor / Canadian Gem knot. So that's going to take some practice. And again, once you learn these, yeah, you may still make some mistakes making them, like the Clove, Hitch, and the Constriction head. But hey, that's normal. It's not going to be perfect every single time. So I want to show not only everything that's good, but the mistakes as well. And that's part of learning. So that's a good thing. But guys, I'm going to finish this, and I'll see you afterwards. Again, it seems like everything you prepare in the bush just tastes so wonderful. And how do you really get hungry from just making knots? Even though I did saw a small amount of wood, I just picked up some kindling. I didn't have to make any feather sticks. But I guess just being out here, even though there's shade, there's still a lot of, well, the weather's not bad here. But I guess just from being on your feet, constantly thinking all the time, makes you hungry. But anyway, perfect char cloth. Perfect. Will be used on the next adventure. But the meal is finished. The fire is still going. Once you stir it up with the shovel, hey, it comes back alive. All right, guys. I'm going to do some house maintenance, and I'll be back with you. North 207. Leave no trace. All right, YouTubers, I am headed out of the bush. It has been an exciting day, just learning and perfecting knots. Knots are very important skills for any bushcrafter, survivalist, prepper, camper, wilderness individual. Learn all the knots that you can. You may not use them all, but learn what you can. So this is the Virginia Bushcrafter signing out. Hey guys, hit that like, comment, share this video out, and subscribe. So again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter. I will see you on the next video. And as always, like father and son, mother and daughter, human in nature, we're all akin in some form or fashion. Get out in the bush and have some fun.